As people, we should not pursue justice and fairness. Zhu Feng. October 9, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kair. As a person, it is a mistake to pursue justice and fairness in life. I have lived in China, Africa, Oceania with Aboriginal people, and now in North America. During the 20 years of building Life Echanuan, I finally found that life itself is very just and fair and that no one is wronged. Therefore, it is known that Tao is most just and fair, that the fairness and justice pursued by people are unnecessary, and that it is not only redundant but also creates inequality and trouble. He lives in a villa, driving a luxury car while I live in a thatched house without even a bike. This is unfair, someone said. I said, what you see is unfair, but people are suffering from cancer and diabetes. Is it also unfair that you have neither? If someone has cancer, would it be fairer if you shared it? Others were imprisoned and their properties were confiscated. Would it not be fairer if you were also locked away? Is it not unfair that people have been living in heaven but you have to live in this world? Since you seek fairness, why do you not keep your faith unchanged, make constant contributions, and stick to truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, and peace even while suffering, enduring hardships, and in distress like others? It might be unfair for the Tang monk to become a Buddha but for you to not. But then why did you hide in your comfort zone and not go through adventures as the Tang monk went through his hardships? I wanted to create a new oasis for life in the island country of Vanuatu, but I found that although the indigenous people lead simple lives, not only were they lazy, but they were also greedy. They did not want to pay, but just wanted to get, and they were short-sighted. Finally, I gave up the idea of building a new oasis for life there. I lived in Africa for more than 10 years. Not only is Africa beautiful, but it is also rich, so why is it still poor and backward? This is a human problem. People are too greedy and keen on petty theft. If all they want is to get something for nothing, then how can they not remain poor and backward? I have lived in China for most of my life. Primitive African tribes still maintain their simplicity, but that of the Chinese people has all but disappeared. Everyone has become very shrewd. Not only the city people, but even those in the remotest villages have become very shrewd. Moreover, most Chinese are generally not grateful. Not only do they not pay their debts of gratitude, but they also think about how to take their benefactors' things as their own, such as how they treat the United States. How much welfare has the United States brought to China? Not to mention the Tsinghua University and Peking Union Medical College Hospital, which were built with American aid. The United States trained several million scientific, technological, and entrepreneurial management talents for China. Now, everyone uses mobile phones that are patented in the United States, let alone electric lights, HD TVs, supermarkets, and much, much more. Have we been grateful for this? Not only have we been ungrateful, but we have also scolded the United States to death. Everyone studies mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, but from where have we gotten the knowledge of these disciplines? All are from the West. On one hand, we enjoy the welfare of others, but on the other one, we scold them. Is it smart, ignorant, or ungrateful? In addition, if we look at social media groups, we find that almost everyone is a judge and a master. We draw conclusions and judge people with no deep understanding of them. We regard ourselves masters and try to guide others after we have learned very little spiritual understanding. People accuse the government of being autocratic, but the reality is that everyone is really that way. Even beggars want to dictate and rule over other beggars. Are Chinese parents not autocratic dictators over their children? Between married couples, do both not try to rule and dictate over each other? So the status of the indigenous people of Africa and China shows nothing about unjustness or unfairness. From the creation of Life Echanuan to the new oasis for life, I have found that China is suffering from severe disasters. But what about the inequities created by everyone? Each generation must eat the bitter fruit left from the previous one, and no one can escape that. What about the life mode of the new oasis for life? Who can say that it is not good? The government wants to destroy it, but to where would they wish to take our people? Can you sit down and argue with Xie Feng? China has 90 million Communist Party members, each of whom swore to fight for the realization of communism throughout their lifetimes, but have they praised the emergence of the communist seedling on the Chinese earth? Have they encouraged it, or are they the ones who professed love of what they actually feared? Are the common people pursuing better lives? What kind of good life are you pursuing? Is it better than those within the new oasis for life of Lifechanuan? People. Cheating yourself is enough. Do not try to cheat and anesthetize others. We are all Chinese, we know each other. This is it. After living in North America for several years, I feel that it offers the best life for me, though I have no love for capitalism, nor do I recognize that the American and Canadian lifestyle is the most ideal one for mankind, but Westerners enjoy more than any others in any other part of the world. It is not unjust or unfair, but determined by people's quality. People talk about the decline of the United States, the rise of the East, and the 21st century being the one for China, but it seems so absurd to me. I have nothing to say to those people who are mentally masturbating so absurdly. What are unrealistic dreams? The ones that people are having now come pretty close. Everything happening on Earth is fair and just. The status quo of each country is and everyone's present situation is. The ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, has never wronged any nationality, any country, or any person. Therefore, people should not pursue justice and fairness because no one can create either one.
让自己的认知大厦全然坍塌。
Let your cognitive building collapse completely. Jiefeng. October 12, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. If you believe that your cognitive abilities are the most profound in the world, then stick to them. Tell everyone what you know all at once, and shine a light on all who are groping through the darkness. If we find someone whose cognitive abilities surpass ours, then let us collapse our building projects, abandon all the theories that we believe to be correct, and let us serve that one. The process of serving others is that of self-accomplishment and of realizing our own ideals. Religious complexes and worshipping will inject strong energy and vitality into oneself. When I worship the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, Jesus, Shakyamuni, Laozi and Guanyin Bodhisattva, I gain a new self. Since then my life has entered a new channel. It can be said that I have been reborn. Were it not from my worshipping from inner piety, then my life path would still be dark gray. Have you ever cried with joy or experienced a state of extreme calm when you were so excited that you forgot yourself completely, and you were willing to surrender yourself completely to the object of your worship? If your answer is yes, then congratulations because you have experienced worshipping. Is there any person throughout history whom you admire? If not, then congratulations, for you are the greatest person who has ever lived. If you are not that person but have no object of worship, then sadly, you are either a poor spirit who knows not the immensity of the universe, or at least a confused individual with an unclear mind. I am neither the greatest person in the world nor the one with the most profound cognitive ability, but along my way, I have not met anyone other than Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, Pbup, and Laozi. Guanyin Bodhisattva is not a human, whom I am willing to worship. This is my sorrow, my ignorance, and it is sad not to be able to see skies beyond skies and mountains beyond mountains. The happiest people in the world are those who have dedicated their lives to the objects of worship. I am one of the happiest people because I have entrusted my life to the greatest creator and my life to Tao. Now I have nothing else to do. The rest is to find fun and play. Play whatever is playful. There is little to do except play. It has been said that we are living in the Dharma ending age, and that a saint named Ziwei will come to save us. This Ziwei saint is both the returning Christ and the next life of Maitreya, and I am looking forward eagerly to the advent of this saint. It would be a blessing to meet this holy soul once during my lifetime, and I must have burned incense in a previous life. However, this saint must meet 3 conditions upon arriving. The saint must have a systematic theory to provide us with a theoretical standard to follow no matter what we do. Otherwise, even if he or she walks on water, flies through the clouds, and demonstrates 64 supernatural powers, sorry, they are not the saint. The saint must have nothing, no money, neither on their person nor in bank accounts, and no material possessions except for clothing. Once they possess anything material, then I am sorry to say that they are not the saint. The saint must have set an example for people. Whether it is by a personal quality model or by their leading people to create a convincing and replicable mode, they must have at least accomplished some ideal cause. Otherwise, even if they can preach scriptures, integrate all theories, and have hundreds of millions of disciples, then they are not the saint. It is nothing more than a dream to depend on talking to realize a world of the great harmony of the unification of all thoughts and all beliefs into the greatest Creator's will, and all religions into one uniform belief system in which the talented are entrusted with important missions that the whole world can be united as a single family. Give us an example. If the above three conditions cannot be met, then it is honestly suggested that the Ziwei saint should stay in the sky. Otherwise, if he or she and others were to come down, then they would not even be able to pass my tests. I have many schoolmates from my middle school, technical school, college, and university, but I cannot see any of them as having extraordinary ideas and realms because they are all merely drifting along. It is okay for them to do this, but most of them believe that they are knowledgeable with much cognitive ability, and are so quick to deny others' opinions, just as the pig who saw monkeys darting up and down a tree and sneered, those poor monkeys do not even have a fixed nest. You see how happy and comfortable we pigs are. We have nests and people to feed us every day. In the past few years, I have met a lot of very knowledgeable people through social media groups on the web. At first, they gave me good impressions, but after communicating with many of them for a while, I found that most just feel good about themselves and consider themselves to be masters. Every day, in addition to selling their insights, they are busy within their web groups, rarely settling down to read the classics or about the apocalypse, but seldom do they do any practical work. Those so-called insights are not the result of their own life perceptions, but are just some borrowed wisdom from others with some small ornaments of their own that they have added in. Even so, those insights were not worth refuting at all because most of them have indicated elusive thinking. Many people are lovely, amiable, and respectable, but are not on the right track. I look at them and think, if you collapse all your cognition structure, it would be great. Heaven is not without roads and gates. The problem is that you insist that you are right, so you cannot see them or even the way to them. I would like to share this couplet, which was composed by Luoyan Celestial of Life-Echanuan. While hearts abide nowhere, then everywhere is in wonderland. If love attaches to no one, then any time is ethereal. Ethereal wonderland.
从请检测自己的生命层次。
Testing one's life level according to their love. Jiefeng. November 11, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. Every level of life has its own corresponding level of love, which is different from all others. We can all examine our own loves to determine whether they are terrestrial or celestial. If your love troubles you and makes you miserable, then it is terrestrial. If it pleases you, then it is celestial. If your love only includes one partner throughout your life, then it is terrestrial. The more lovers you include, the more you demonstrate celestial love. If the object of your love is fixed, then it is terrestrial. If you follow your destiny and nature, then it is celestial. If you are jealous because your lover has feelings for others, then your love is terrestrial. If you are happy that your lover loves many, then it is celestial. If you find love to be divisive and that the more lovers your lover has, the less they will have for you, then yours is terrestrial. If you know that your love is in line with cosmic holography, then no matter how many partners you love, every one of them will be complete and your love is celestial. If you want to control, guide, train, and make your lover behave according to your standards, then your love is terrestrial. If you give your lover full freedom, then it is celestial. If you want to be inseparable from, pester, and always be with the object of your love, then your love is terrestrial. If you have embedded the object of your love into your consciousness, then no matter whether you are far away from each other or you live together, they will still taste very sweet and your love is celestial. If you cannot be completely magnanimous about love and you are hiding something, then your love is terrestrial. If you bare yourself open to love nakedly, then yours is celestial. Analyzing and determining the pattern and state of one's love can help them to understand the level of their life. If your love is terrestrial, then you must remain a human forever. If your love is celestial, then you are no longer a human being, but a celestial being, and you can go to the fairyland after your life's journey ends.
只有雪峰是共产主义才能解决这些问题。
Only Xiefeng-style communism can solve these problems. Xiefeng. November 19, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. Elderly care, singleness, marriage breakdown, official corruption, environmental pollution, children's education and protection, poisonous food, drug abuse, whoring, gambling, fraud, theft, robbery, the integrity crisis, corruption, bribery, domineering, etc. cannot be solved by relying on historical experience and current people's cognitive level, nor can it be solved by religious teachings such as Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, etc. It cannot be solved by the ideas of Mao Zedong, by the theories of Lao Tzu and Confucius, not to mention by learning from the West about the separation of three power system. They can only be solved by Xiefeng-style communism. Here I will first tell you the fact that moral education is not as good as system construction, and a good system is better than any form of moral preaching. Elderly care is a major issue in China and the world. In the past, the issue of providing for the elderly was dependent on children. Now many Western countries rely on the welfare system formulated by the state. Whether it is relying on children or the welfare system, it is not the best way to provide for the aged. Nursing homes of all kinds are a very sad way of providing for the elderly. Caring for the elderly, allowing the elderly to live among the young and children, and to enjoy a comfortable life in their later years, is the best way to support the elderly. In this regard, Life Achanuan's second home has fully proved through 11 years of practice that the Xiefeng-style communist life is the best way to provide for the elderly. There are more and more single and divorced people, so how to solve their sex life problems? Let it go? Control it rigorously? Restrict by regulations? No matter what method is used, if the problem of sex life is not solved, there will inevitably be endless social problems. This problem can only be solved perfectly by the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, and it will hardly go wrong, including sexually transmitted diseases issues. There are more and more bachelors. Parents have no idea what to do. Neither can the bachelors themselves do anything about it. Should these people be left single for the rest of their lives? How can society solve this problem? There is no choice. The most satisfactory solution to this problem is to enter the Xiefeng-style communist society. The problem of official corruption has not been solved for thousands of years. There are more and more people who ride on the heads of the common people and accept the government's pay. They bully and oppress them while eating their food. This chronic social disease can only be eradicated by the Xiefeng-style communist life mode. It is because there are no officials in the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, and everyone is a laborer, people no longer need managers. Officials disappear, and the problem of official corruption caused by these officials also disappears. The issue of children's upbringing and education has become a collective matter, not a parent's matter anymore. Since children live in a collective, there is no possibility of abducting and selling children, and the phenomenon of children being spoiled, indulged and misguided cannot happen. The Xiefeng-style communist life has proved through 11 years of practice with the children that the education and protection of the children can be described as flawless. In the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, stealing will become extinct because you have no place to store the things you steal, you cannot use them, and it is not necessary for you to steal other people's things at all. In the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, absolutely no one will produce poisonous food. The reason is very simple: the food you grow and produce will also be eaten by yourself. As for drug abuse, prostitution, whoring, fighting, bullying honest people, etc., there is almost no such phenomenon in the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, because you have no conditions and opportunities to do these things. Once you do it, you will have no place to stand in this civilized group, so you dare not. The integrity crisis is related to interests. When there is no conflict of interest between people, the integrity crisis will disappear. In the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, There is no direct interest relationship between people, and it is impossible to form cronies or special relationships. Everyone behaves in strict accordance with the 800 values for new era human being, so there is no integrity crisis. Of course, it is not so absolute, especially when it comes to affectional issues between men and women. There will also be some integrity crises. This is because the Xiefeng-style communism system is not fully operational. For example, due to the small number of homes, it is impossible to change personnel in time. As time goes by, there will be some emotional disputes between people, but once the home mode is fully operational, there is absolutely no possibility of an affectional integrity crisis, because the two persons that are together today may go to different homes tomorrow, and there will be little chance for them to see each other again for the rest of their lives. So, people will not work hard on the feelings between men and women, but only on their own qualities. It can be said that many unhealthy phenomena that have appeared in human society for thousands of years will be greatly reduced, or even eliminated in the Xiefeng-style communist life mode. Then, why is it so difficult to popularize such an ideal human life model and difficult for people to accept? The government does not allow it because the government is mainly composed of officials, and officials want to enjoy special treatment. In the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, no one can enjoy special treatment, so of course government officials will not accept it, but will suppress Xiefeng-style communism. The rich do not allow it because what the rich are most afraid of is communism. The rich want to be above the rest. However, in Xiefeng-style communism, everyone is equal and there is no way to be above others. Therefore, they suppress Xiefeng-style communism. The common people don't want it. Though common people live a difficult and ordinary life, there is a hidden psychology in every common people's consciousness that they want to live better than others. In Xiefeng-style communism, the ideal of wanting to live better than others cannot be realized, so they would rather suffer than live in a Xiefeng-style communist society. Although the development and existence of the Xiefeng-style communism life mode is extremely challenging, it represents the future development of human beings. Sooner or later, people will live in the Xiefeng-style communism life mode, especially in China. China has special national conditions. Chinese history and culture tell us that capitalism does not work in China. In history, all rich people face a huge crisis of survival. When you become rich, either robbers come to rob you and kidnap you, or the revolutionary movement will fix you. What's harsher is that when the government's finances are in trouble, the rich become the targets of harvest. Therefore, taking the European and American capitalist road will not work in China. As for the socialist road, practice has proved to be a failure, because the common people have not enjoyed a happy, joyous, free and blessed life because of socialism. In short, the best life for mankind in the future will be in the Xiefeng-style communism life mode, especially for the Chinese nation. Anyone, even if you are well educated, even if you have extraordinary intelligence and great ability, even if you are the second coming of Jesus Christ or Maître Yen Buddha or Ziwei Saint, you will not be able to create something more perfect than the Xiefeng-style communism life mode for human beings.
新冠病毒是魔鬼还是天使？
Is COVID-19 a devil or an angel? Xiefeng. February 16, 2022. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. A man of superior virtue does not show his virtue. A man of superior mercy demonstrates no mercy. Since the outbreak of the new corona epidemic, according to information on the internet, it is said that many animals have accelerated their reproduction. For example, there are more small turtles hatching on the beach. It is also said that the sky is clearer than before. For example, the snowy mountains, which have been blocked by smog for decades, now reappear to the Indians, and so on. According to online information, no child in one state in the United States has died from infection from the novel coronavirus. The death rate of children infected with novel coronavirus in the United States is much lower than that of the elderly. Again, according to online information, in the sixth wave of the epidemic in Japan, about 90% of the deaths were elderly people over 70 years old. Online information tells us that the novel coronavirus seems to be mainly aimed at the elderly, because most of the dead are the elderly, but it is relatively kind to children and young people. What is the novel coronavirus going to do? Is it a devil or an angel? From the perspective of purifying the earth, it sees that there is too much garbage on the earth and the pollution is too serious, so it wants to purify the earth. Many animals are about to become extinct, so it hurried out to protect the nearly extinct animals, because if all animals die out, humans cannot live either. From this point of view, the novel coronavirus seems to be a bit like an angel. From the perspective of population death, does it feel that there are too many people on the earth, and the earth's resources cannot support so many people? Many countries say that they are under immense pressure because the elderly population is increasing, so the novel coronavirus wants to take the elderly to heaven earlier, to leave more living space for young people and children. If this is the case, the novel coronavirus seems to be a bit like an angel. But this is a bit unfair to the elderly. For the elderly, it is simply the devil. If the novel coronavirus is an angel, then places with severe epidemics like the United States will benefit greatly. The more severe the epidemic, the greater the benefit. From this point of view is the severity of the epidemic in the United States caused by their tacitly letting the epidemic spread. If the novel coronavirus is a devil, then places like China that are cleared for epidemic prevention will benefit the most, and the milder the epidemic, the greater the benefit. From this point of view, is the epidemic in China relatively mild compared to the United States because the Chinese know that it is the best policy to resolutely eliminate the virus? If the novel coronavirus is an angel who came with the mission of purifying the earth, then it will not stop there, but will continue with one wave after another. If the old coronavirus does not work, the new coronavirus cannot finish the task and the senior coronavirus will come into play. Anyway, it cannot go to heaven to explain this if it doesn't fulfill its mission. If the novel coronavirus is a devil and it just came out to cause trouble for mankind, then it will be locked in a cage under the full siege of mankind, and it will soon disappear without a trace. If the novel coronavirus is an angel, the more human beings guard against it, the more wrong they will be. The novel coronavirus is probably thinking, "My goodness! I'm here to help mankind, but stupid and ignorant human beings are beating and kicking me, condemning me both in speech and writing. They really take good intentions for evil." If the novel coronavirus is a devil, human beings must take strict precautions, and the stricter the precautions, the better. The novel coronavirus might be thinking, "My goodness! Clever and cunning humans are too difficult to deal with. I'd better retreat, otherwise humans will break my legs." At this time, we cannot see the true face of the novel coronavirus, and we can only leave it to history to make a conclusion.
寄予未来中国领导人
A messages for future Chinese leaders. Jiefeng. November 1st, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. If you can make people live and work in peace and contentment, and make people live joyously, happily, freely, and blessedly, you are the savior of the world, and you are the Ziwei saint. That if you do not let the common people live and work in peace and contentment, and don't let people live joyously, happily, freely, and blessedly, you are a bastard, a living devil. I will provide you with some ideas for reference. Point 1. Follow America. West Germany followed the United States and became prosperous and strong, while East Germany went against the United States and became poor and desolate. South Korea followed the United States and became brilliant, while North Korea did the opposite and became closed and backward. Without theoretical analysis or logical reasoning, facts have proved that following the United States will be beneficial to the country and its people. In the era of confrontation with the United States, China was poor and backward. Due to China's reforms and opening up, China and the United States now have harmonious relations and China's economy has grown by leaps and bounds. Therefore, we must follow the United States. Point 2. A strong entrepreneur, not a strong government. Allow thousands of entrepreneurs to be born and become stronger. Let the invisible hand of the market support or eliminate entrepreneurs. The government administration should not interfere with business. It is necessary to weaken or even abolish the governmental administrative agencies at and below the county level, and let entrepreneurs replace and exercise government functions there. And at the same time, liberalize the development of civil society organizations, and allow civil society organizations and entrepreneurs to form a system of checks and balances. Point 3. Make trade channels unobstructed and allow people to move around freely. Do not obstruct the sea, business, internet and borders and fully open it all up. Let businessmen from all over the world come and go freely in China. Let academic groups and people from all over the world communicate and exchange information freely in China. And let Chinese people freely enter and leave the country to everywhere in the world to study, do business, establish enterprises, travel and settle. It is not only necessary to recognize dual nationality, even triple or 100 nationalities, and allow for Chinese citizens to have multiple nationalities. Point 4. The government should not participate in economic activities. There is infinite wisdom, vitality, and creativity among the people. They know how to survive and how to improve their lives. Entrepreneurs are more far-sighted than government officials. Dissolve all state-owned enterprises and leave banking, power, communications, transportation, etc. all to entrepreneurs to operate. As long as economic activities are involved, the government should not participate. The government should only be in charge of 5 things: foreign affairs, national defense, combating crime, combating monopolies, and providing free education and medical care. Point 5. Except for setting up a press release office, leave it to society to run all media, and let them run various news and information dissemination media on behalf of their own interests. Allow them to say anything they want to and allow journalists to exist in every corner of the country. The power of journalists should be stronger than that of the police, while the government does not need to pay for the journalists, which is a good deal. Point 6. Establish the awareness that private property is sacred and inviolable. The state cannot deprive its citizens of private property, nor can any political party or religious group. Only by ensuring the safety of private property can the country prosper. The people will live a happy life in peace and contentment, and money from all over the world will flow into China. At the same time, it should be guaranteed that private residences will not be disturbed by anyone. With private residences, the rule should be: the wind can enter, the rain can enter, and the king cannot enter. Without a reliable clue to prove that the residents have violated the law, the police should not be allowed to enter. Point 7. Allow various faith-based groups to operate freely, learn from the ecological diversity of nature, and let all kinds of faith groups spread their teachings and ideas freely. The government should not support any faith groups, nor should it crack down on them, but leave them to live and die on their own. Point 8. Abandon such disputes as doctrine and truth. Only think about and talk about how to make the common people live and work in peace and contentment, and do not talk about and argue about the advantages of capitalism, socialism, and communism, let alone talking about fighting and dedicating to the truth. As long as the general public likes it, shitism is acceptable. 9. Do not assist poor countries, do not help backward countries, but you can provide emergency relief when disasters or special situations occur. Point 10. To provide living security for the brave. As long as people are disabled because of their bravery for righteousness, the state should provide them with a free lifetime pension, which should not be lower than the national average standard of living. If they sacrifice their lives for righteous causes, the government must not only arrange and take care of all their funeral affairs, but also take care of their parents for the rest of their lives and provide education and other guarantees for their children until they graduate from school. Point 11. The government should not care about private matters between the sexes. The sexual life between members of the opposite sex is a personal matter, and it belongs to the freedom of life. As long as both parties are willing, the government should ignore it, make no comments, let alone kidnap and judge them with high standards of moral and quality. It doesn't matter whether it is one wife with many husbands, one husband with many wives, 3 or 4 people having sex together, or thousands or 10,000 people together, the chairman and the secretary, a master and an apprentice, husband with mistresses, having an affair every night. As long as the participants are willing, without hurting others, then let everything flow eastward. To future Chinese leaders, may you be the Ziwei saint who comes to the world, and may you understand the principle of holography. If you can manage China with the principle of holography, China will become the center of human civilization, and the whole world will praise your wisdom and greatness.
财不对位是社会资源的一种浪费。
Mismatching talents and positions are wastes of social resources. Jiefeng. August 30, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. What a waste it would be to shell mosquitoes with big guns, but it would also be a waste to specialize in growing flowers to cook, and it is even more wasteful for those who have the potential to win Nobel Prizes to be running companies. Letting people with hairdressing and cosmetological skills work on assembly lines in factories are also wastes, and letting thinkers become government officials is even more wasteful. Having cats catch mice and dogs guard homes are good arrangements, but letting mice guard homes or dogs catch mice are mismatched talents. Having Churchill as the Prime Minister and Montgomery as the Field Marshal were wise matches, but having Churchill be a Field Marshal and Montgomery a Prime Minister would have been mismatched talents. The function of eyes is to see, of ears is to hear, of feet is to walk, of hands is to manipulate things, and of brains is to think. If you made the brain look, listen, walk, or manipulate things but stop thinking, then it would be misaligned. If a brain were not doing brain business, but did the businesses of the eyes, ears, feet, or hands, then it would not only be putting the proverbial cart before the horse, but it would also be a huge invisible waste of its special resource. Talents are types of invisible social wealth with huge potentials, while mismatched talents and positions are invisible and huge wastes of social resources. The people are infinitely rich in creativity. For example, the infinite vitality bursting out of Chinese society at the beginning of China's reform and opening up is the result of the mobilization of the infinite creativity of the people. If the talents are aligned properly, endless material wealth, spiritual wealth, and soul wealth will be created. There are two main reasons for their misalignment. The first one is government regulations. The more that the government controls, the more that people's talents misalign. For example, it is difficult for China to produce Nobel Prize winners. This is not because the Chinese are stupid people, but because its government controls and intervenes too much. How can great scientists and thinkers be born without their talents being aligned properly? How can century-old shops and a large number of craftsmen's talents be born? The second is running for survival. Regardless of one's talents, they choose whatever they can do to make money, and their choices can be few. Why has the Guide of Human Spirits and Souls written so few valuable articles during the past 2 years? Because my talents have been misaligned. Most of my time and energy during this time have been spent running around for survival. I have awakened each morning at 5 o'clock, washed, and prepared breakfast for my guests. It is already 10 o'clock in the morning by the time I clear up the cups, plates, and tables after my guests have finished eating. Then I make my own lunch, and after that, I visit the guest rooms to clean up the trash left by my guests and take out the sheets, coverlets, hand towels, bath towels, and other linen used by the guests, wash them and relay them. Next, I clean the guest rooms meticulously. After finishing this, it is already around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. During this period, I must wait for new guests to arrive at any time, to arrange the rooms for them, and then make dinner. After dinner, I clean the tableware used by the guests and myself throughout the day. Then I begin to fold the cleaned bedding and bathroom supplies. Now it is past 8 o'clock at night, and I must go to bed by 10 o'clock, or the next day's failure to get up on time would delay my guests' breakfasts. My real free time is no more than 2 hours because there are a series of other things to do, such as shopping more than 30 kilometers away, tidying the yard and mowing, repairing improper parts, and so on. Now I must ask this question: which is more important, for the tour guide to do this every day to make money or to write valuable articles? As the tour guide, I understand in my heart that this is a sorrow for mankind and a huge loss to civilization, but even more so, it is an incalculable loss to Life-Echanuan and its celestials. A bit alarmist, is it not? History will tell you the answer. As the tour guide, I know in my heart that my talents are misaligned and that I am putting the cart before the horse, but since humans cannot be aware of this, then I will take things as they are and enjoy the happiness and tranquility of ordinary life. Where is mankind's escape? How do we eliminate the phenomenon of misaligned talents? The answer lies in the tour guide's brain.
根头栽在了细节上。
Stumbling on the details. Jiefeng. August 24, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. On January 28, 1986, the American Challenger launched and exploded 73 seconds later, killing all 7 of its astronauts in the space shuttle. What was the problem? The O-ring seal of the solid rocket booster on the right side failed. Such a large and complex collection of super advanced science and technology resulted in a disaster that could not be avoided just because of the failure of a small, inconspicuous sealing ring. We had stumbled over a detail. Xia Anna, a 24-year-old computer engineer and job seeker, stood out in a competition among several thousand competitors and was selected because of her excellent performance during her interview with the boss. But when she went back to the boss office to retrieve the silk glove she had left on the cabinet by the door when she first walked in, the boss noticed what she was doing. The next day, when she had not received a call for employment, she became concerned and called to ask why. The general manager answered that, "We had already chosen you, but then we found that you are forgetful. We engage in the design of electronic circuits, and there must be no mistakes." She had stumbled over a detail. On August 21, 2021, a young couple checked into my small hotel. Judging by their appearance and temperament, they appeared to be South American, and judging by their cars and clothes, they seemed to be having economic difficulties. However, they could stay in the high-end hotel that I manage, which showed me that they had certain patterns and methods to their pursuits. Late in the afternoon, the lady brought a box of food to be heated in the microwave. When I asked why they had come here, she said they wanted jobs. At that time, a desire arose in me to keep the couple in my hotel, but the next day I cooked breakfast for them and they were supposed to be ready at 8 o'clock sharp because I had everything ready for them at that time, but I waited and waited, and they did not come downstairs for almost an hour, and it was then that I dispelled the idea of keeping them. Why? Because an unpunctual person is someone you cannot count on and someone who will screw up jobs, so how could I keep them? Punctuality is a kind of faith. A lack of the former proves a lack of the latter, and people who do not have faith are unreliable. Perhaps they never knew that the real reason why they had arrived at the gate of heaven, but had not been able to enter, was only that one detail. Again, they had stumbled over a detail. Details are not unintentional accidental phenomena. They embody the meaning of people's lives, and they are comprehensive manifestations of their upbringings, self-restraint, and self-cultivation. If the details go wrong, it must be that the person lacks having enough self-improvement and self-cultivation. When people face dilemmas, their problems must lie in the imperfection of certain details, but they may never know that it is their imperfection of one or a few details that has led to their dilemmas.
一张残酷的能量流向图。
A cruel energy flow diagram. Jiefeng. June 7, 2021. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. The day before yesterday in the afternoon, I knelt on a mat to weed, loosen the soil, and fertilize the roses in front of the guest rooms. Why was the whole process of working so joyful? Because the roses were growing vigorously. I feel joy when I look at flourishing roses, and because of my joy, I like to weed them, loosen their soil, fertilize them, and finally water them. The cruel reality is somewhat different, however. More attention and energy should have been given to the weak ones. The strong ones can strengthen themselves and do not need much effort or care. The weaker that one is, the less care and energy they will be given. The stronger that one is, the more care and energy they will be given. You see, the higher one's official rank is, the more supporters and flatterers they will have, and the more people who will be sending them gifts. The more successful a business is, the more money banks like to lend to them, and the easier it is for them to borrow money and raise funds. The more handsome a man is, the more capable he is, and the more that beautiful women will want to marry him. Some men have married dozens or even hundreds of wives, and all of them were beautiful, gentle, and capable, but many men cannot find a single wife and can only remain lonely bachelors. The drier a place is, the less likely it will be receiving rain, but the wetter a place is, the more rain that will fall. The better, the more prosperous. The worse, the bleaker. Is this the law of nature? I consider myself a saint, so why do I also prefer the lush Chinese rose flowers from the bottom of my heart? I will expose more of my thoughts here. The more beautiful and sexier one looks, the more I like them. Oh my God! Is that what a saint is like? I used to be a permanent resident of Zimbabwe, so why did I leave? I went to Vanuatu and wanted to build a home there, so why did I not? I am a Chinese citizen, So why did I leave my birth country and settle down in Canada? Turns out that essentially I like better living environments. I finally understood what Christ Jesus meant when he said, "For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance, but whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath." This is the energy flow diagram. After seeing and understanding this energy flow diagram, as people we must strive to make ourselves excellent all round. The more excellent, the more energy one will get. And the more imperfect, the less energy they will get. It is useless to complain, to cry and shout, to blow up, or to have trouble with others. The only way that works is for you to make yourself excellent. This is the true meaning of God helps those who help themselves.